If you look down in there, you'll see there's still bits of nectar and pollen still in there. They didn't starve to death, but...
Resources were all there. Something else killed them.
Jeff Anderson is a third-generation beekeeper. He's trying to recover from the death of 70% of his stock, part of a worldwide trend of disastrous losses in the numbers of bees. Like hundreds of beekeepers around the world, Jeff rents his hives to farmers so his bees can pollinate billion-dollar crops like almonds, avocados, and apples.
Back in the 70s, it was a piece of cake. It was a walk in the park to be a beekeeper.
Now he's facing trouble his predecessors couldn't have imagined. With help from fellow beekeepers, he's bringing the bees that he has left up into the hills, away from commercial agriculture, to detoxify. This frame here is full of honey, and that should, in theory, be a sign of a well-fed, good, healthy population. But these bees died off anyway, and now these bees are actually entombing all of this with a special protective layer. They're basically quarantining this, and that's a sign of bad health. It's that kind of weird signal that has these beekeepers so concerned for the future. Several researchers blame the rise of a new category of chemicals known as neonicotinoids, a highly toxic pesticide that's used to treat both the seeds that farmers buy and that's taken up by the plant from the soil.
So when I think about pesticides, I think about a plane, spraying a whole crop, or somebody spraying it in their backyard, but you're talking about putting it in through the soil.
Yes, and these pesticides are applied to the soil and taken up through the roots of the plant and transported to all parts of the plant, making it toxic to the pest insects that bite into it.
Right.
So what I want to show you here is evidence of this systemic transport.
Chemist Susan Kegley has studied the effects of pesticides for more than 20 years. She says there's almost no federal research into their effects on bees.
We haven't seen any indication that the USDA or EPA is interested in pursuing it. It's almost as if they wish it would just go away.
The problem is so severe, the White House formed a task force to create a plan for saving bees, and the EPA says it won't approve any new uses for neonics. Protests in the UK and Europe led to a 2-year moratorium on the use of neonicotinoids, but U.S. farmers, especially those growing big cash crops like wheat, soybeans, or corn, are using the chemicals widely. In an email, Syngenta, one of the largest manufacturers of neonics, argued that a lack of genetic diversity, naturally occurring pests, and the rigors of a life being trucked from crop to crop could all be to blame for the death of bees. One of the biggest problems with the misguided focus on neonics, the company said, is that restrictions on its use will almost certainly result in the application of much greater amounts of older, broad-spectrum pesticides, which are much more harmful to bees. With no idea how to keep his bees alive, Jeff Anderson says the family business may die with him.
I would like to be optimistic that my kids would choose to do this. It's a necessary business, but realistically, it's a really tenuous way to make a living right now.
Jacob Ward, Al Jazeera, Calaveras County, California.